Welcome to the Unapologetic Vixen podcast, Owning Pleasure as a Black Woman. I'm Natasha, a licensed sex therapist and certified sex and intimacy coach, on a mission to empower Black women to choose a life of pleasure, not just today, but every day. There is nothing more powerful than a Black woman that authentically owns her pleasure and sensuality. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the gems. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Unapologetic Vixen podcast, Owning Your Pleasure as a Black Woman. At this very moment, I am recording inside of my bathtub because it is the only place away from everyone. This is the most quiet area of my house right now, so it's big enough to fit me, so it will do, right? So if you are new to the podcast, welcome. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming to my little piece of the internet. And if you are an OG, welcome back. I hope you get something out of today. And so let's get into it. So I want to talk a little bit about what it is that I do. It's really funny that when I do interviews or when I do bios, everyone's always like, Natasha, what do you do? And I have to take in a deep breath and say, all right, here we go. And I start naming off the things. And everything that I do has a rhyme or reason, and it's all connected. So over the next few episodes, I'm going to kind of explain some of the things I do and why I do it. And I just love it. Anywho, so two of the labels that I carry in two separate businesses. I am a licensed professional counselor. I specialize in sex therapy. And I'm also a certified sex and intimacy coach. And one of the questions that I get very often is, what is the difference between the two? So when I'm doing consultations for coaching and they're looking for a therapist, I always kind of give them the rundown of what the difference is and give my recommendation of where I think they need to go or where they need to be headed or how I can support them. So we're just going to kind of run through some of the differences. Now, the first point is being a therapist, you have to be licensed, right? Coaching, you don't have to be licensed. You don't even have to get a certification. But because I am who I am and I seem to be a life learner, I decided to go ahead and get a certification because I like knowledge. I like knowing what I'm doing, how to do it, the different ways to serve my clients. So it worked to have a certification. It also sometimes looks good. There are some clients out there that really appreciate the certification behind a particular topic or a particular niche. So that's the difference. Licensed sex therapists, oh my gosh, y'all. I had to get the undergrad, I had to get the master's, I had to get supervision, I had to get hours. Even after graduating with my master's, it took 3 years before I could get my full licensure and work on my own, practice with therapy clients on my own. So there is a lot that goes into becoming an actual therapist, and there are different criteria for different states, but you cannot practice as a therapist if you have not gone through the proper education channels. Continuing education. As a therapist, I, every 2 years, have to get a certain amount of CEUs, which are continued education units. It is required. It is checked. I have to turn it in. And with being a coach, it's not necessarily necessary to have continued education. But again, that wonderful learner in me is always researching, always reading books, always reading articles, going to webinars and seminars to get more information, just because things are always changing. It would not be in my best interest as a coach to not know what's going on with my clients, to not know what's going on in the world, what the trends are, what different toys. things are ever changing, and it is my job as the professional, as the expert, to stay on top of things, even if I don't have to. Now, in therapy, working with clients, I like to explain the difference between therapy and coaching as therapy, we are pulling out that baggage. I compare it to garbage bags. We carry those garbage bags or suitcases or whatever you want to look at it as. We are all carrying some of those things, some type of trauma, some type of hurt, some type of pain. We all carry that. At some point, we have to decide that in order to live a better life, in order to be our best selves, we need to unpack that baggage and heal some of the wounds that we have. And that is what I do as a therapist. We do a lot of processing. We do a lot of going through the past and bringing it to who that client is in this very moment and how to heal through that, how to communicate through it, how to talk about it, how to forgive, how to move on. Whereas coaching is it's goal oriented. So therapy is past to present. There's definitely some future talk, but it is mainly centered around past to present. Coaching, I tell my clients, I am here to get you from point A to point B through knowledge, techniques, and assisting you and supporting you as you implement the things that we've talked about. It's very present to future centered, very goal oriented. So what that looks like is a client come to me saying, Natasha, I want to have sex once a week. Or I haven't had an orgasm before. I would like to have an orgasm in the next 30 days. So we build a plan, we build an action plan, which is one of the points. We build an action plan. These are the 3 things that you can do over the next 30 days to get your orgasm. And then I have them come back to me and we talk about if it worked, if it didn't work, if there was resistance, if they just didn't do it, why they didn't do it. I'm one of those people, whether therapist or coaching, I give work to do because I believe that there's only so much that I can do for my clients just sitting there and talking. Anyone can talk, right? Anyone can talk and say what they feel like I want to hear, or they can say what they feel like they need to hear and then leave my presence, leave our sessions, and never do a thing and never move forward. And so there are moments where we really have to talk about, are these the goals that you want? Is this really something you're interested in? Or is this something you're doing for someone else? Or did you just realize I'm not interested in this anymore? This is not where my focus is anymore. I don't want to prioritize. So very action oriented with my clients. Therapists, they have the ability to take insurance. So they're able to bill their clients' insurance, or they can do self-pay or out of pocket. There are a lot of options for therapists, whereas coaching is usually across the board self-pay. I have not come across any insurance panels that are willing to take on sex coaches. Is it possible in the future they could? Very much possible, but it is not a thing right now. So even with the savings plans, like the savings accounts, the FSAs, HSAs, I'm not 100% sure that you can use the card for that or that you can be reimbursed for coaching. Therapy it could be more long term. I have been in therapy for years. 4 years. And it's not because anything's wrong. It's a safe space for me to go to process the things that are going on in my life. I normally go see my therapist when I'm in some type of transition. So I don't see her on a regular basis, but when things are transitioning in my life, I reach out to her and get the support that I need to make the best decisions for myself. Sex coaching is more short term. Like in the past definition that I gave, hey, Natasha, I want to be having sex once a week, or I want to have an orgasm in the next 30 days. After that 30 days is up, there's a lot of times that my clients are like, okay, I'm good, and they go on about their business. So it is never, as a coach, It is never my intention to have clients long term because it's not necessary. And even with therapy clients, if they've achieved what they needed to achieve, if they are coping, if they are blossoming in their lives, sometimes it is not necessary for them to come and see a therapist every single week or sometimes it really is just I need that check-in. I need that safe space to go to so that I can make sure that I'm on the right place. And or there's triggers, right? We don't know what we don't know. We may not know what's going to trigger us in a certain situation. And so when we are triggered, then it's like, I need to get support with this on how to cope and how to move through this. Once they move through it, they're back to blossoming and going on with their life. So, short term, long term with therapy and coaching. Therapists diagnose and make treatment plans the DSM, which is the diagnostic. The S is really not in my brain right now, but it's a manual with all the diagnosis codes that can be used for a therapist. And so after meeting with a client, we utilize all of this huge book to diagnose the client in order to build their treatment plan. And sessions are maintained based off of the treatment plan and the objectives and interventions that we have set forth together as a team. As I stated earlier, sex coaching, it's an action plan. And I normally keep action plan to no more than 3 things. So after every session or after every group call or things of that nature, it's always they're leaving with at least one thing to do. And then we're checking in the next go round about what happened. Did they do it? What does life look like now? So that's the difference between sex therapy and sex coaching. Therapists are identifying triggers and they're coping with clients. There normally is, not always, but there's normally some type of crisis that is going on with a client that is going to therapy. And it doesn't have to be like some mainstream, it doesn't have to be some mainstream crisis. It could be something really, really simple. Like changing jobs. Now, some people may see that as like a joyous occasion, or having a baby, or getting married. Some people may see that as a joyous occasion, but there are a lot of stressors that come with all of those transitions in life, and it brings up a lot of stress, and it can bring up a lot of triggers for clients. So being able to cope through those really big transitions are going to be important for them to get through it, and they may utilize a therapist for that. Coaching. As a coach, I am the accountability partner. So think of it as a personal trainer. When you go to the gym, you have the trainer, and they're like, push, go, go. Give me 5 more. Keep it going. You got this. You can do this. You only got 5 more to go, and you feel like you want to give up or you feel frustrated, and they are there to like push you and keep you motivated. That is my role as the coach, is to motivate my clients to keep going, to remind them of the end goal and keep giving them the skills, techniques, and knowledge they need to be successful with that goal. And last, but definitely not least, there's like a running list of the things that make therapy and coaching different. Is therapy is very therapist led. It is the therapist taking the lead and being the expert within the dynamic that is the therapist and the client. Coaching, it is client led. So going back to the treatment plan as a therapist, I run my sessions based off of the treatment plan. This is the plan that we have. This is what we go off of. We can definitely talk about it. And if the client has a say-so or has a different thing that they want to work on, great. But we are basing our sessions off of the treatment plan. During my coaching sessions, my clients tell me what they want to do. They tell me what they want to do, what they want to work on, where they want to go, and it is my job as their coach to help them build an action plan and help them follow through to get to their goal. So I'm their cheerleader. I walk beside them and I let them tell me what direction they want to go. With therapists, I kind of am walking ahead of them and I am guiding them on which direction to go. Does that mean they always follow me? No. Does that mean they always do what I ask them to do? No. But I always have their best interest at heart when I am guiding them. Ultimately, in therapy and in coaching, the client's going to do what they want to do. And that is one thing about me. I can be very honest and transparent is in these particular roles where I am the helper, I used to get very caught up in the client's result. And if they did not achieve something, or if I had a couple and they didn't end up together, they ended up separating, I took that as a personal hit. I took it as a personal, like, you didn't do your job, and this was supposed to be a great outcome. And I really had to do my work and remember that it is not. I don't have the final say. I don't have the final say. The client has the final say. In therapy and in coaching, they get to do what they want to do. And I can't judge myself or base my expertise and my ability to do my job off of their outcome. Are positive outcomes great? Absolutely. But it's their work to do. I'm just the support system. I'm just the one that gives them clarity. I'm just the one that helps with direction and empowering and support. What they do when they leave from me is what they do. And it lets me show up a lot more for them when I realize that they're in charge. They're at the wheel. Even in therapy, they're at the wheel. They're going to do what they want to do. A lot of times, though, my clients will come back, like my therapy clients, even my coaching clients, when they don't do something that we discussed, and they'll say, Natasha, it turned out exactly how you said it would, and I'm ready to do it the way that you explained it to me. And I just go, okay. Because sometimes people have to learn. We have to let them do it their way. We have to let them do it their way. And I'm at a place where I'm okay with that and them not making the right decision. It doesn't mean anything about me. It just means that they weren't ready. So if you are listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, that was a lot of information. How the heck am I going to know if I need a therapist or if I need a coach? One, get a consultation. I do a consultation with all my clients. We talk about what they need. We talk about where they're at in life. And I am able to determine, because I am a therapist and I am a coach, when someone comes to me for coaching, I can see the signs on if they need something deeper. Sometimes there are just keywords where I'm like, no, coaching is not for you. You have a lot of things that you need to unpack. You have a lot of things that you need to heal, because sometimes without the therapy, they're never going to meet that goal. Either they're never going to meet the goal that they come to for coaching, or it's going to take them that much longer to meet the goal because they still have a lot of open sores that need to be healed. They need, and not Band-Aids. Like they need to go and they need to heal these wounds. They need to understand themselves through the past in order to be productive and successful in the future. And so that is what I do. Those are two of the things that I do. I talked about these first together because they are some of the main parts of my businesses. I have two separate businesses. I have a therapy practice, a private practice, and then I have the coaching business. So they're not one and the same. Someone coming to me for therapy, I'm not necessarily going to bring them on as a coaching client. And when they come to me for coaching, depending on the circumstances, I may not see them as a therapist. I may refer them out. But either way, knowing, listening to this episode and being able to discern what is my agenda? What is it that I'm needing from this person that I'm going to see? Do I need to heal from my childhood? Are there things that happen in an old marriage or an old relationship that still like bubble up and come up? Or is it I have my eye on the prize? I know exactly what I want, but I just can't find the steps. I need someone to help me dust off the steps so that I know what direction that I'm going. Keep those two things in mind when looking for a therapist or a coach. And this isn't just in the sex field, this is in any field. Determining whether you want a therapist or a life coach, a therapist or a spiritual coach. This is a really good kind of baseline to go off of to determine what is going to work for you. So go out there and get the support, the guidance, and the empowerment that you need. Thank you for listening to the Unapologetic Vixen podcast, Owning Pleasure as a Black Woman. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a comment, and share with someone you know could use the space. If you're ready to tap into your pleasure, join the Virtual Vixen Suite. It's a safe space for Black women to gain support and empowerment as they access pleasure, intimacy, and satisfying sex every day. And remember, pleasure is your right, boo.